The story begins with a boy waking up in an unfamiliar room. As he slowly opens his eyes, he sees a woman looking down at him. At first, he assumes she is his mother, but he quickly realizes that can't be right because his mother is much older than this woman. Feeling confused, he looks down at his hands and is completely shocked to discover that he is now a baby. What makes the situation even stranger is that when he checks his status, all of his stats have returned to level 1, and he doesn't even have a name anymore. Suddenly, a tall man wearing armor enters the room. The woman respectfully refers to him as the king, and he steps closer to look at the baby. Seeing this man, the boy wonders if he is some kind of emperor or ruler of this land. Not long after, the baby is carried before a priest for a naming ceremony. During the ceremony, he is given the name Noah and is declared to be the 13th Imperial Prince. When Noah quickly checks his status, he sees that Imperial Prince has been added to his title, which confirms that he is the direct son of the emperor of this nation. After the naming ceremony is complete, the emperor asks the priest what Noah's affinity is. The priest replies that Noah's affinity is water, and that his assigned fief will be Almeria, a land where many members of the Water clan reside. Hearing this, the emperor seems somewhat relieved. Setting that aside, he then asks the priest to reveal Noah's full stats. When the priest does so, everyone in the room is stunned. Every single one of Noah's stats is already maxed out, and his water affinity has reached SS rank, even though he was only born a few hours ago. Having stats like that means he has already awakened, and an awakening at such a young age is something unheard of. Because of this, everyone present concludes that they are witnessing the birth of an extraordinary talent. It is at this moment that Noah realizes he has been granted a new life and reincarnated as a noble. The empire he now lives in is known as the Mir's Empire, a powerful nation of warriors nestled within a rugged mountain range. Its capital is located on an open plain, and the empire is currently enjoying a golden age where wealth continues to generate even more wealth, allowing a rich and vibrant culture to flourish. The emperor of this land is the father of more than 10 sons, all of whom are known as the imperial princes. These princes are widely adored by the people and are regarded as the most prestigious nobles in the empire. 6 years after Noah's reincarnation, he comes to realize something important about his abilities. To others, his stats appear as incredibly high individual values, but in reality, those numbers are high only because they are being boosted by his subordinates. For example, his S-rank water skill comes entirely from Almeria, the fief he was granted at birth, while many of his other stat bonuses come from the maids who serve him. In other words, Noah grows stronger the more subordinates he has. On top of that, he begins to suspect that his level has no upper limit and can continue increasing endlessly. Once the maids finish dressing him, they send him downstairs. After he leaves, the maids talk among themselves and admit how remarkable he is. Normally, boys his age would be full of mischief and constantly causing trouble, but Noah is different. He is calm, composed, and unusually mature for his age. Evelyn, the beautiful maid who specializes in hospitality, approaches Noah while he is having lunch and announces that both the crown prince and the fourth prince have come to visit him. She adds that they said he could take his time finishing his meal before going to meet them. However, Noah knows exactly who the crown prince is and understands that he cannot afford to keep someone of that status waiting. He immediately asks the maids to take him to them. Noah goes to greet his elder brothers, Albert, who is the crown prince, and Henry, who is the fourth prince. After exchanging polite greetings, Albert tells Noah that they actually came to bring him a gift. At that moment, a frightened servant walks into the room carrying a sword case. A dark and ominous aura slowly leaks out from it, filling the air with tension. After it is set down, Albert orders the servant to open the case. The moment it opens, Noah suddenly feels a chill run down his spine as he begins to hear the cries of soldiers begging Albert to save their lives. The voices sound desperate and full of fear, and Noah can immediately tell that what he just heard was not a hallucination. Albert then tells Noah to pick up the sword. Although Noah really doesn't want to, he realizes that this is a gift from the crown prince, so refusing it isn't an option. Noah carefully picks up the sword, and while it feels a bit heavy at first, he soon manages to steady himself and find his balance. After that is done, Albert explains that the sword is known as Leviathan, a water element sword that is regarded as the strongest sword in the entire empire. Around 120 people have died simply trying to master it. Henry notices Noah looking a bit nervous after hearing that, so he tells him not to worry. He explains that anyone who is not meant to wield the sword is killed by its curse the moment they attempt to lift it. The fact that Noah was able to pick it up without any anything happening only proves that he is at least somewhat worthy of it. Albert then pats Noah on the back and walks out of the room, saying that this was a valuable demonstration. As Albert leaves, Noah can't believe that this bastard was testing him the entire time using something that could have easily killed him. However, he decides to keep those thoughts to himself because he knows that if he were caught saying something like that out loud, he would be dead on the spot. As the princes walk away, Henry asks Albert whether leaving Leviathan with Noah was really the best course of action, especially since the sword was extremely expensive. Albert replies that the sword is far better off in the hands of someone as brilliant as Noah. On top of that, he adds that it is precisely because Noah is so brilliant that he needs to experience what it feels like to be bitten by his own pet. Later that night, Noah notices that his mate, Zoe, seems unusually uneasy about something. He asks her what's wrong, but Zoe doesn't want to trouble him with her personal problems and tells him not to worry about it. Noah insists, and after some hesitation, Zoe finally opens up. She tells him that she would like to request some time off because her hometown was recently flooded, and the farm where she grew up was completely washed away. That farm was her mother's only source of income, so Zoe has been considering working in the red light district, since people told her she could sell herself for a very high price as someone who once served an imperial prince. Noah immediately tells her that there's no way he's going to allow that to happen. Instead, he offers to employ her mother at the mansion as the person in charge of opening the gates, and he promises to pay her handsomely. Zoe tries to point out that the salary he's offering for that position is far higher than what is normally paid. Noah then adds that there is also an unused house near the mansion, so Zoe and her mother can live there together. Upon hearing this, Zoe breaks down into tears and repeatedly thanks Noah for his kindness and generosity. However, deep down, Noah knows that he isn't doing this purely out of goodwill. Having a former servant working in the red light district would stain the name of the 13th imperial prince. Zoe is his servant, and as such, she will serve him for life. After this unexpected act of kindness, Noah is fairly certain that she will never betray that loyalty. After that, he calls the butler, Dylan, and tells him about how Zoe's hometown also got flooded by a disaster. Because of that situation, he tells Dylan to go over there and buy as much land in Dasso as possible, because he knows that bandits would eventually arrive there to take advantage of the town during its time of weakness and chaos. He wants to secure and procure the land before that manages to happen, and before things get worse. Dylan is surprised by this order because even though Noah is still very young, he is able to handle a situation he has never personally experienced before with such sharp foresight and careful thinking. In reality, this exact kind of thing had already happened to Noah in his previous life, but of course he can't tell anyone about that fact, so he decides to stay quiet and say nothing. Dylan admits that it's a very good idea, but the real problem is how they are supposed to get the money needed to buy the land, because purchasing that much land would cost nothing less than several hundreds of thousands of Rian, which is the currency used in this empire. Noah realizes that he didn't really think that part through properly, so after thinking about it for a little while, he finally concludes that they will just have to sell the land they own south of the capital city. Dylan questions whether that's truly a good idea, because that land was a gift personally given to Noah by the king himself, and selling it without permission could even be considered a serious crime. However, Noah tells Dylan not to worry about the king's reproach or anger, because he will personally bear the full consequences of that decision. Noah says that this is what being a noble is all about, making sacrifices so that the lives of other people can become easier and safer. Dylan understands the meaning behind those words and thanks Noah for making such a decision, especially because he shares the same hometown as Zoe, so he feels deeply grateful from the bottom of his heart. The next day, Noah has liquidated the funds and is getting ready to buy as much land as he possibly could. He's now getting ready to go and inspect it in person, but that's when he receives an unexpected visit from his brother, Henry. Henry notices that Noah is taking the Leviathan sword along with him and immediately asks what that's about. Noah explains that he felt some kind of power coming from it a while ago, but hasn't felt anything since then, so he plans on testing it out while they are in Dasso. That aside, Henry tells Noah that the Leviathan sword has a will of its own. Apparently, it only obeys the one person it recognizes as its true master. With that information, Noah immediately understands that he's going to need to earn its recognition somehow. The Leviathan sword is basically like a mad dog right now, and it needs someone strong enough to tame it. Henry tells Noah that he can take the sword along with him if he really must, but he should not use it unless the timing is right, or else it could end up killing him. After saying that warning, Henry simply turns around and leaves. Shortly after that, they arrive at Daso and see that the flood has completely turned the area into a desolate wasteland. From the looks of the destruction, they assume that most of the ruined homes also lost their land deeds in the flood, meaning they will have to buy the land based on the government office's official records instead. Dylan and Zoe are amazed that a child who is decades younger than both of them was able to deduce all of this just by taking one look at the situation. Noah tells them calmly that it's just simple logic. After that, Noah and Zoe begin surveying the land together until they notice food being distributed to a group of villagers by the Empire's caterers. Noah takes a bowl of the food and quickly realizes that it is terrible and even tastes somewhat spoiled. One of the villagers overhears Noah's comment and tells him that they really can't complain because they're lucky to be getting even this much food in the first place. Noah can't believe that the Empire would be serving such substandard food to its people during a disaster. Then all of a sudden, the local government official, Lord Garl, arrives on the scene to conduct an official inspection of the area. Garl knows very well that the food being given to the villagers is terrible, but he doesn't care because he isn't the one eating it. Noah can't stand watching this anymore, so he confronts Garl directly and accuses him of embezzling the funds meant for food rations. Noah says that instead of providing proper meals, Garl has been stealing the money and serving the villagers slop. Garl doesn't deny it at all. He openly admits that those at the top of the food chain deserve to eat first, and he and his men laugh about it. Seeing their attitude makes Noah furious. He warns Garl about the consequences of his crimes, but Garl doesn't appreciate a child talking back to him. He draws his sword and prepares to attack Noah. At that moment, the Leviathan sword flies out of its box on its own and hovers beside Noah. The sword begins to test him, pouring its power into his body to judge whether he is worthy. Parts of Noah's body start to darken, as if he's about to be consumed by the sword's curse. Just as it seems like he's going to lose, Noah feels a surge of adrenaline and willpower. He proves to Leviathan that he can endure its power, and after a brief struggle, the sword fully submits to him. Enraged, Garl moves to kill Noah, but Noah strikes first and uses Leviathan to cleanly cut off Garl's head. His lackeys, furious at seeing their leader killed, prepare to attack Noah as well. To intimidate them, Noah strikes the ground with Leviathan. The attack leaves behind a massive crater so deep that the bottom can't even be seen. Noah himself is shocked by the sheer power of the sword. Shortly after, Rowan, the knight captain assigned to Daso, arrives and is stunned by the scene. When he recognizes Noah as the 13th Imperial Prince, he immediately kneels. The others are confused until Rowan announces Noah's identity, causing everyone present to bow in fear and respect. Noah explains how Garl and his men were stealing from the villagers, which is why Garl was executed. He orders Rowan to ensure that the remaining corrupt officials receive proper punishment. Noah also commands that food distribution be restarted properly so the villagers can eat well. Overjoyed, the villagers praise Noah for saving them. Meanwhile, Albert receives a report that Noah successfully tamed the Leviathan sword. He smirks, realizing Noah may be far more useful than he expected. Later, Noah meets his father, expecting punishment for selling gifted land. Instead, the Emperor thanks him, explaining that Noah's actions prevented bandits from exploiting the flood. The Emperor is also pleased that Noah mastered Leviathan. When Noah's stats are checked again, his water skill has risen to triple-S rank due to the many subordinates he gained while helping Daso. Deeply impressed, the Emperor asks Noah to continue using his talents for the Empire, and Noah agrees. The next day, Noah heads over to a small local diner located on Raid Street in search of a popular street singer who often performs there. After entering the diner, he finds an empty seat and sits down, quietly observing the place. Not long after that, a pink-haired girl steps forward and begins to perform in front of the customers. As she continues singing, Noah recalls hearing rumors about her before and remembers that her name is Alichi. As Noah listens carefully, he thinks that her voice itself isn't bad at all. However, he can clearly tell that her singing technique still has a lot of room for improvement. Even so, it's obvious to him that she takes her singing very seriously and puts genuine effort into every note. She isn't just singing for fun, she's trying her best to improve and survive through her talent. Suddenly, the atmosphere in the diner changes completely when three rough-looking men burst into the room. They start yelling loudly and draw everyone's attention. The men shout at Alichi, demanding to know why she's wasting time singing instead of finding a better way to pay off the debt her parents owe them. Hearing this, Alichi shrinks back in fear as the men surround her. With a trembling voice, she tells them that she doesn't have enough money to pay off the debt yet, but she insists that she's trying as hard as she can since she has no money to offer. The men begin discussing the second best way for a woman to repay a debt. The people inside the diner can only watch in shock and disgust, unable to do anything to stop it. Before the situation can get any worse, Noah suddenly stands up from his seat. He walks calmly toward the men and reminds them that it is strictly against imperial law to force a child to take responsibility for their parents' debts. The men scoff at him and assume he's just a spoiled and clueless brat. One of them grabs Noah by the shirt and prepares to attack him. In response, Noah instantly counters by using the power of his Leviathan sword. The overwhelming force shocks everyone in the room. After seeing the terrifying strength Noah possesses, the three men panic and immediately flee the diner, running away before things can escalate any further. Once the danger is gone, Noah turns back toward Alichi and speaks to her gently. He asks her how much she needs to get by each month, and she explains that a large part of her expenses goes toward paying for her mother's medical treatment. After hearing this, Noah tells her that from now on, he will pay her 25 Rien every month so she can focus fully on her singing. On top of that, he promises to increase her pay as her skills improve, encouraging her to continue pursuing her passion without fear. Alichi thanks Noah deeply and tells him that she truly appreciates what he has done for her. She promises him that she will not let him down and that she will work hard to improve her singing. Later that same evening, Noah returns back home, only to see the same three men he confronted at the diner kneeling in front of the palace gate. They are bowing their heads and begging to apologize for their actions earlier. Noah looks at them for a moment and quickly realizes that they must have finally figured out who he really is. Instead of meeting them, he calmly tells the maids to send them away, explaining that the prince is not someone they can see whenever they feel like it. Not long after that, Noah's elder brother, Henry, walks in and agrees with Noah's decision. He admits that refusing to meet them was the right choice, because allowing people like that to see royalty so easily would lower the value and authority of the royal family and the prince's position. Noah then takes Henry inside and explains that his decision was not only about protecting the dignity of royalty. He explains what happened at the diner and says that if he personally addressed the men, they would continue to believe that he was angry at them. That fear would likely make them stay far away from Alichi, which is exactly what Noah wants. Henry is honestly impressed by this way of thinking. Despite Noah's young age, he was able to think several steps ahead. Henry admits that even his brothers who are around Noah's age wouldn't have thought that far, which makes him even more impressed. Changing the subject, Henry then asks Noah about the Leviathan sword and whether the rumors are true about him mastering it. Noah confirms that it's true and says that it was only possible thanks to the advice Henry gave him before. To prove it, Noah demonstrates by making the Leviathan sword appear right in front of him as if it came out of thin air. Henry is completely shocked by what he sees because he never even knew the Leviathan sword was capable of doing something like that. Noah explains that the sword didn't actually materialize from nothing. Instead, it was hidden beneath his sleeve and expanded in size on command. Since the sword has a will of its own, it was the one that taught him how to perform that technique. Henry admits that he never knew such a thing was possible and praises Noah for discovering it. Later on, outside the palace, the same three men from earlier are still waiting for Noah to come out. The moment one of them spots him, the man immediately attempts to attack, but Noah quickly releases a bit of his power. This causes the man to shrink back in terror and apologize. Confused, Henry asks Noah what he just did, and Noah explains that he simply intimidated them by drawing on the power of his sword. Later that evening, Noah is invited to attend a royal ball. As he arrives and walks into the hall, everyone present begins applauding him. A lord standing beside him, named Radok, notices that Noah is carrying something at his waist. Noah confirms this and explains that it's the Leviathan sword, which was gifted to him by the crown prince himself. The moment everyone hears this, the entire room gasps in shock. They recognize the Leviathan as a national treasure that is rumored to be nearly impossible to control. One of the guests assumes that the sword must be a fake or just a replica. To prove them wrong, Noah Noah releases a small portion of the sword's power. The guests immediately cower in fear as they feel the overwhelming force coming from it. Once Noah stops the sword from releasing its power, the guests have no choice but to accept the truth. They are left stunned and deeply impressed that someone as young as Noah is able to control the real Leviathan sword. For the rest of the event, many nobles begin lining up one after another just to introduce themselves to Noah. Each of them greets him politely and tells him how honored they are to be standing in his presence. Noah listens calmly to every introduction and responds in a polite and respectful manner. After a while, the next people in line step forward, and they turn out to be Brian Allen, the head of the Brian Company, along with his daughter, Cindy. Noah carefully looks at both of them, and after observing for a moment, he is able to deduce something surprising. He realizes that Cindy is not Brian's biological daughter, but his adopted one. Not only that, Noah can also tell that Cindy used to be a slave in the past. He comes to this conclusion because of the cautious and searching look in her eyes, a look that he knows is unique to people who once lived as slaves and were constantly watching their surroundings. Brian is shocked that Noah was able to figure all of that out just by looking at her. He kneels down in front of Noah and admits that it's true. He explains that he originally bought Cindy as a slave, but after noticing how quickly she learned and how intelligent she was, he decided to adopt her as his daughter instead. Hearing this makes Noah genuinely happy, because he truly loves hearing stories like this where someone's life was changed for the better. Noah smiles and invites Brian and Cindy to visit his mansion sometime in the future, saying that he would love to hear more about Cindy's story. Brian respectfully agrees and says it would be his pleasure to visit. After that, Brian and Cindy bow politely and take their leave from the event. The next day, Noah is taking a relaxed walk through town when he suddenly runs into his brother Oscar, who happens to be the 8th prince of the kingdom. After chatting with Noah for a short while, Oscar invites him to go on a treasure hunt together, saying he has nothing better to do that day. Noah agrees, and the two of them immediately head toward Cobalt Street. Noah has never been to Cobalt Street before, but he has heard many rumors about it. It's said that antiques from all across the empire can be found there. However, Oscar explains that the area is also famous for being filled with counterfeits. Because of that, being able to find real treasures among fake ones is considered a basic skill that every noble should have. The two of them spend most of the day searching through shops and stalls, but they don't find anything special. Eventually, Oscar suggests that they should just call it a day and head back. Right before leaving, Noah notices a book that catches his interest, so he decides to buy it. Oscar takes a closer look at the book Noah purchased and suddenly freezes in shock. He realizes that the book is actually the grimoire of Andrea, the legendary sorcerer. Oscar is convinced that this is the real thing and not a fake. If that's true, then depending on what's written inside, the book could be worth up to 1,000 Rien. Oscar asks Noah how he knew the book was real, but in truth, Noah had no idea at all. The only reason Noah bought it was because the moment he touched the book, a plus was added to his win stat. That strange reaction made him think the book might be special. Suddenly, Noah gets an idea. He pulls out the Leviathan sword and slowly begins pouring some of its energy into the grimoire. After a short while, Noah loses control of the book. It slips from his hands, falls to the ground, and opens on its own to a spell page. This triggers something unexpected, causing the forbidden tome and the sorcerer's soul sealed inside it to materialize right in front of them. Oscar immediately realizes how dangerous the situation has become and shouts for Noah to run away as fast as he can. Instead of running, Noah calmly raises the Leviathan sword and swings it once. With a single powerful slash, he strikes the sorcerer's soul and completely wipes it out on his own. After the enemy is finally defeated, Noah looks toward his status screen and notices that his wind skill has gained an SS rank. Seeing this leaves him slightly surprised, but he doesn't dwell on it for long. He quickly turns around and goes to check on Oscar. Oscar is completely stunned and can barely believe what he just witnessed. He keeps wondering how Noah was able to make such a decisive move so quickly, and more than that, how he managed to grow so strong in such a short amount of time. Before Oscar can even finish processing what happened, a merchant steps forward and kneels before them. The man introduces himself as Alan, the owner of a nearby antique shop. Alan explains that after witnessing Noah's incredible feat, he feels compelled to show them an artifact that he believes to be a true treasure. He respectfully asks them to follow him to his shop. Once inside, Alan presents a strange and rare ring. He explains that the ring is rumored to only only reveal its true form when its rightful owner appears. According to him, many people have tried wearing it in the past, but it never reacted to any of them. Hearing this, Noah assumes that the ring might just be a useless piece of junk. However, Alan quickly disagrees and says that he doubts it's fake. He explains that he has tried selling and getting rid of the ring several times, yet somehow it always returns to his shop, appearing back among his inventory without explanation. Curious, Noah decides to try the ring on. The moment he puts it on his finger, he hears an unfamiliar voice speaking directly to him, saying that it is of triple his rarity and it recognizes him as its new owner. Right after that, the ring begins to react. It releases a strange light and starts transforming, wrapping around Noah's body and forming a set of top-tier armor around him. Seeing this, both Oscar and Alan immediately understand that Noah is the ring's true owner. Noah tells Alan that he will take the ring and have the payment sent later. Before Alan can respond, Oscar steps in and tells Noah not to worry about paying for it. He says he will handle the payment himself and tells Noah to consider the ring a gift. With that settled, Noah accepts the ring. Not long after, Oscar drops Noah off and bids him farewell. Just as Noah is about to head inside, the rugged man from the diner suddenly rushes toward him and tries to strike him with a sword. Before the attack can land, the ring senses the man's hostile intent and instantly forms a protective shield, blocking the strike completely. The carriage driver reacts quickly and tackles the attacker to the ground, restraining him. Oscar witnesses the entire scene and is impressed that Noah was able to use the ring's protection so naturally and instinctively, seeing how smoothly it activated. Oscar realizes that Noah has already begun mastering its power. Later that night, Noah returns to the diner to watch Alachi sing. While she is performing, two drunk men suddenly jump onto the stage and begin fighting over her. Noah appears in front of them almost instantly and intervenes. He uses the Leviathan sword to strike them, sending both men flying out of the diner and running away in nothing but their underwear. After things calm down, Noah speaks to the diner owner and tells him not to let people like that enter the establishment anymore. The owner sighs and explains that unfortunately, people like those drunkards are what keep his business running. Noah understands what he means, so he makes a decision on the spot and offers to buy the entire business for 1,000 Rian. The owner is shocked but deeply grateful and accepts the offer. After that, Alachi approaches Noah and tells him that she doesn't know how she could ever repay him for everything he's done for her. Noah gently tells her that she doesn't need to repay him at all. All he asks is that she continues singing because he sees her potential and wants her to devote her life to her music. With a warm smile, Alachi agrees. Noah then returns to his seat and spends the rest of the night quietly listening to Alachi's angelic voice as it fills the diner. That was the second episode. Subscribe to not miss the next part and watch the next video on screen.